Welcome to HoodooTube, your one-stop shop for reviews of fantasy, horror, and supernatural entertainment for the African diaspora. A recent romantic fantasy I had the pleasure of viewing is 3,000 Years of Longing, an epic and majestic love story starring British icons Tilda Swinton and Idris Elba. In this tale, Swinton plays Alethea Benny, a world-renowned and genius-level narratologist who can see spiritual apparitions but keeps this secret to herself. Benny heads to Istanbul on a work trip and encounters a bottle that releases a jinn who grants her 3 wishes. I absolutely love the visual effects in this film because there are so many gorgeous and interesting shapes and forms that Idris Elba's jinn becomes in this story. As the jinn adjusts to life in modern times, the story unfolds when he explains to the professional storyteller Alethea why he has been stuck in the lamp, and all of his attempts throughout history to find love, but also become free. I love that Idris Elba, a black man, plays a jinn in this story, because at times we may think of jinn as solely an Arab concept, but many may not realize that the story of jinn has been a part of many African cultures for thousands of years. After DNA testing, I found out that a prominent part of my own ancestry comes from the Central African country, Gabon. And when studying the history and culture of Gabon, I found that stories of jinn have been as far south as Gabon for over 500 years. So jinn being portrayed as African people is historically accurate. Every story the jinn tells is in another age and time, broken up into several chapters, where he serves several different people, including many women he falls in love with. They were unable to free him with their wishes. One of the most epic parts of this film is when the jinn tells his tale of his romantic encounter serving the African historic icon, the Queen of Sheba, who's played by Ugandan actor Amido Lagum. In Sheba's royal court, magical creatures, animals, and musicians playing otherworldly instruments entertain her in the royal court while men try to woo her. Even in this story, the Queen of Sheba isn't human, but has the legs of a deer or a goat, showing her magical nature. But unfortunately, King Solomon entraps the jinn in a bottle in order to woo Queen Sheba for himself. In another chapter, the jinn serves a young woman who lives in the courts of the Ottoman Empire as a concubine, and when she wishes the prince of the empire to fall in love with her, she gets her wish, but unfortunately the prince is accused of treason. Another one of my favorite chapters in the story is when we also see more of the struggle for power amongst the Ottoman royals, particularly Murad IV and his brother Ibrahim, who are actual historical figures from Istanbul's history. The bloodthirsty Murad loves to quench his anger with war and murder, but his peaceful and pleasantly plump brother Ibrahim has no interest in being king. Ibrahim's mother conspires to create an heir to make Ibrahim king by locking him in a room with women and forcing him to create new heirs. I absolutely love that Ibrahim requests nothing but plus-size women in his harem, because though it's seen as a fetish, we never question why. If Ibrahim wanted nothing but slim women, would this be seen as a fetish? Ibrahim's favorite concubine, called Sugar Lump, finds the jinn's bottle but wishes that he stays stuck in the bottle until he is found again another 100 years later by a younger woman, another genius scientist who falls for the jinn, but questions the best moral way to use her wishes. I love a lot of the moral and philosophical conversations that are brought up in this film, as well as the mythologies that are told about the jinn in general, like where they come from, what they enjoy, and how they live on Earth. All topics that are covered in this film. The cinematography in this film is wonderful and stunning, and I love that magic, real history, and folklore come together to make this epic story come to life.